Hello, friends. I'm standing behind the chair that was my dad's on the floor of the New York State Assembly when he served there from 1967 to 1970. The chair was in my parents' home for over 50 years, but with my mom's passing this past October, it came to me, and it's a beautiful and very meaningful addition to my office. My dad served in the Assembly during some very difficult times. It was the times when that abortion debate came to the floor of the New York State Assembly and was very heated and very emotional. And it was a great cross for my dad. It tore him apart. On the one hand, his conscience and his religion told him to vote against abortion. On the other hand, he was torn between that and his desire to represent his constituents. And to be quite frank, at different times he voted in different ways on the issue. But what ultimately changed his mind and caused him ultimately, in his last vote, to vote against abortion was the testimony of a buddy of his, Assemblyman Marty Ginsburg, also from Long Island. I could talk about him as Assemblyman Ginsburg, but we all called him Marty. Marty was crippled in both legs from birth, and he apparently gave a very rousing speech on the floor of the Assembly that had all the prenatal testing been available when he was born, and had his parents been of a mind to do so, he might have been aborted and might not have lived the fulfilling, rewarding, meaningful, purposeful life that he lived. It was a wonderful, moving testimony. A quote from that speech hung above my dad's chair in his office at home until the day he died. Let's fast forward to now, when the rough draft of the Supreme Court decision has been leaked to the media, to Politico. A lot of the backlash and a lot of the discussion has focused on things like a woman's right to choose, reproductive rights, choice, and bodily autonomy. These are all worthwhile values, and they encompass very important rights, but they're not absolute. They're not absolute when they come into conflict with other rights, such as the right to life. Let's take a look at that term, bodily autonomy. It's a term that's gained a lot of traction in the last couple of weeks. A woman has a right to do with her body as she pleases, and well, she does. But the right to bodily autonomy is not absolute. Indeed, I suspect that most abortion proponents would not agree with the principle of bodily autonomy used by those who did not want to take the COVID vaccine. My body, my choice, they said. But clearly the common good and the potential to contain and eventually eradicate a life-threatening pandemic outweighs the cry of my body, my choice. And so I don't quite understand. I don't think we can turn around and claim my body, my choice when it comes to abortion. And why is that? Because the fetus is not part of the woman's body. It simply is not. It is within the woman's body, but it has its own DNA code. It's just not correct. It's even a little bit disingenuous to suggest that the fetus is a part of the woman's body the way a heart, a liver, a lung, or any other tissue would be. None of those can develop into an independent human being. From the moment of conception, a fertilized egg can. I'm just very disillusioned that so much of the discussion these days has focused on rights, and pro-abortion advocates will not address this fundamental question. What is being aborted? Who or what is being terminated? What is the nature of abortion? What are we doing when we terminate a pregnancy? Are we not terminating a human life? I also find it terribly disheartening that there's no compromise. Abortion proponents are very, very strident in their demand for abortion all the way up until the moment of delivery, until the 9th month. There seems to be very little willingness to compromise, for example, to limit abortion to the first trimester of pregnancy. Surely this is happening because we are placing so much emphasis on rights that we are neglecting to look at the fetus and its rights and what it is. What about an unplanned pregnancy? What about a woman who has to deal with an unplanned pregnancy? I have all the compassion in the world for her, as does the church. Just recently, the bishops of New York State issued a statement entitled "Toward a Pro-Life Future in the Empire State," a statement by the Catholic bishops of New York. And in it, quite compassionately and comprehensively, they pledge to provide for a woman and her needs with an unplanned pregnancy, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, or income. Look, I know that abortion is a highly emotional and deeply divisive issue in a country that is becoming increasingly divided. I know the pain of it and the difficulty of the decision from my dad's own having to deal with it and having to come to his decision. But as we move forward, let us pledge today that we will take a good, honest look at what is it, what is being aborted, that we will identify that clearly and intelligently and honestly, and then that we will all resolve to address the concerns of all who have a stake in this issue. Thanks for listening. I know this has been a tough topic. God bless.